Okay, we have a bit of a secret project here. I have a Springfield trapdoor. I got it into the shop. Somebody cut it down, cut the stock down, installed a big old dovetail sight on it. At least it's high enough that it might hit something at 100 yards. But the bore is so worn out, it's basically a shotgun. So, what we want to do is, me and my sisters have a secret project. My father's 80th birthday is in 2 days. And so we want to give him a present. And I thought a fun present would be to reline this 4570 in 3220 and to do a little different finish job on this. We'll have to change the extractor. I might leave the stock work for him to do because we don't have much time. But if I can get the metal work done and a new barrel liner in there and test fire it, I'll be a happy man. And I think my father will appreciate it as well. So let's see what we can do with this old Springfield. First thing we need to do is take this apart and see if we can get this 140-year-old barrel off this receiver. It's an 1884 marked receiver. Whoop. Let's see if we make it happen. Okay, I got a couple things to say here. One, don't do important work past 9 o'clock at night. And two, don't rush things. The barrel would have came off a whole lot easier. I should have known better. Take the bolt out, the breech, the extractor. It's not going to come off with the extractor in there. I bent the extractor, did some damage to the back of the barrel. I'll have to evaluate and see if this is something that I can fix. I have more of these, I believe. So we'll have to see what we can do, see if we can save this thing. Don't have a whole lot of time to do a whole lot. So also don't wait till the last minute. Whole lot of lessons to be learned there. So luckily, after that idiotic move, we didn't do any major damage to the receiver, and I have some spare extractors. Now, this extractor won't work with the 3220 cartridge, so we're going to have to figure out something there to move the tip of it over. But at least we know we can still make this work. Not ideal, move a little metal there, but I think we'll be fine once we put our barrel liner in it. All right, that's what you get for working on stuff late at night. So the next problem we need to overcome is, I keep hitting this drill bit is for a 32 caliber bore to drill it out to fit the liner, so you can reline anew, so you can drill out a 32 caliber rifle and put a new 32 caliber liner in it. And obviously that pilot isn't going to work very good in a 45 caliber hole. So I think what we'll do is we'll make a brass bushing that can go over the front of this pilot that will guide that in the center of the bore. And we'll drill it halfway from this side. So you can tell we're just, hopefully, just going to make it. Should have measured that. Woo! Boy, that's close. Hopefully we'll just make it from both directions. We'll flip the barrel around, drill it from both ends. So now I guess our next step is to make a bushing. Alright, so what I want to do, I got a couple bushings that I want to put on the tip of this to guide it through our 45 caliber barrel. And my hope is that if I drill out this inner bushing to fit on the tip here, then I can turn the outer bushing to fit my 45 caliber barrel, and maybe they'll rotate on top of one another, giving this a guide through the barrel. So let's see how it goes. So here I have an adjustable reamer that can bring us up to the 307 thousandths we need, because I don't have a drill bit that fits that criteria. Now we're gonna run this reamer really slow, which I think it's as slow as it goes right now. Now it's not. Very good. So I had a tool, basically a mandrel for turning 1911 bushings, which has two cones and a thread that tightens them up. Of course, I cannot find it. That would allow you to turn this in between centers. I may try putting a dead center in our headstock and a live center on our tailstock, and see if I can't put enough pressure on there just to lightly turn this down to the diameter we need. Desperate times. So the hope is that the pressure here is more than the amount of pressure we're going to exert on our cutting bit to be able to turn this down to the diameter we want. Let's see how it fits our bore. Oh, I like that. So I wanted just a little bit. I didn't want it to bind up in the middle of the barrel. And that there, I love it. All right. So there we have it. Now, my biggest worry is that with these at the right diameter, they're going to be so thin that they may not last long. But we're not taking much off from this barrel because of the diameter it's already at. Well, I think we have something we can try out. All right, so I installed an O-ring on here. I doubt it will last. You guys can laugh at me when it doesn't, but it's not like it's going to hurt anything, but it does allow some slippage here. I'll grease it up, but I think we're ready to give this a try. Now we're going to get our barrel chucked up in our lathe. I'll take that front side off. I lied. Before we get checked up in the lathe, I'm going to mark the center spot on this barrel and on the drill, so we'll know when we've got to the halfway mark. And this will give us an indication of when we are deep enough. Again, this isn't super precision. We just need to make sure we're over the halfway mark. It's not going to leave a whole lot in our chuck, huh? I'm going to stop here for a second because I just had a bit of an epiphany. And just goes to show you can always teach yourself something. Usually when I line this stuff up in my headstock, I will bring my center up close and then I'll dial in till it's almost touching on the sides, and then I'll swap over my dial indicator. So I just figured out, and I'm sure there's lots of people out there saying you're such an idiot that you didn't already do that. I realized that all you got to do is just put it into your center, and then you can tighten up your stops up to, and I'm putting pressure on the back of my headstock, pushing my barrel up to it. And that's going to get you pretty close to start, at least close enough for you to put a barrel indicator on it, or a bore indicator. I don't know why I never did that before. Look at that. It's amazing. I know you guys see me dial this stuff in, but this is my new Bald Eagle Spider, which is already the second time I've been able to use it in 2 weeks. There's a video on mounting that to a backing plate, which didn't get a whole lot of views. So if you get a chance, go back and check that out. But I got it centered onto my live center here and tightened up into my Spider. And then I've got the back. I got this dial indicated in. And now I'm going to come up front here and I'm going to dial indicate the front. And that should be good. Our drill is piloted, so it's kind of going to follow the pilot as it wants to anyway. But the straighter your barrel's set up, the better your outcome's going to be. Since our bore's all dialed in, I'm going to go ahead before we drill it out and do a little cleaning cut here and make sure everything's nice and square. All right, I've got some Brownell's dew drill, and we're gonna put some under this brass bushing. Actually, man, make sure we have some between these bushings. If they want to slip against each other, I'm all for it. And we'll start some in here too. And we're going to do this on our slow setting, which for me is around 60 RPMs. As you can see, there's plenty of movement in a drill bit this long. All right, and we're just gonna take it slow. B1. There we go. All right, we just did our first check. Believe it or not, that O-ring's still on there. Our pilot didn't come all the way out. I don't have a set screw or anything on it, but it's right there. Seems to be doing pretty good, and just gonna go for it at this point. So that was quite successful. Our bushing got a little bit of heat that time that it didn't. One time it didn't come out when I blew it out, and I realized it's because the air chuck, the nozzle on the end started unscrewing, so the air didn't blow through the barrel. But that one time I left it in there, you could tell some heat transferred to it. But our O-ring lasted almost all the way to the last cut. And our bushing still moves inside here, so it didn't bind up or anything like that. Pretty happy. So we're halfway done. We'll let it cool down just a sec, and we'll flip it around to the other side. I took 1-inch cuts, which is heavier than I normally would for drilling out a barrel, but this wasn't removing as much material as normal because it was this was originally designed for a 32 caliber barrel being drilled out to 13 millimeter, where this was a 45 caliber barrel being drilled out to 13 millimeter. All right, let's get it set back up. All right, so I'm turning another bushing here because I want to be able to use a bushing that's the chamber size to get the cut started before it gets to the bore. So that way when we start our drill in there, it's not wobbling around until it lines up tight with the bore. So I'm going to turn another bushing, same diameter as the rear of our cartridge, 503 thousandths. Maybe I didn't have to turn it at all. Anyway, and so we can start drilling, and then we'll change the pilot out and go back to the other one. Okay. So I turn this so that this is our 450 that will travel down the bore nicely, and this is our chamber size. So then when I get to the end of the chamber, it'll start into the bore, and then when I swap over to this, we'll be already started into the bore as we continue onward. So this little tip setup is actually turning out to be quite useful, because I've done them before where when you're cutting through the chamber, sometimes it's hard to get it started straight, and it usually works its way out, but I think this will help us along the way. And then this new bushing will fit right over. There we go. So it'll fit right over our existing bushing guide that fits over a drill. Anyway, let's get going. Well, there, we broke through. We only had about 1/4 of an inch to spare on our drill. But we made it. This little pilot system, I think, worked amazing. I will definitely do it again if I have a similar situation. And we'll save these and we can use them on the next 45 caliber barrel that we changed to 32, 20, or 40. Or anything else in the 32 caliber. Anyway,